you and I love freedom. Like, to be fair, it's quite literally my favorite thing. Like,
it's pretty
if I can have
awesome.
more, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you can never have too much, I don't think. Like,
no,
I don't think
so.
Because I'm going to take accountability. I'm going to be responsible for my actions. I'm not going to mess with other people. I'm not going to impede on their ability to pursue happiness because I'm responsible. But I think, that's me, that's you. I think there's a whole other side of the country. They're like, hey, I don't want any responsibility for this. It's just too much for me.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is so important because I think freedom without responsibility is what everyone's scared of.
Yeah.
When people talk about gun violence or they talk about crime or what you're talking about is freedom without responsibility. Even illegal immigration, it's freedom without responsibility. Mm-hmm. And accountability and responsibility and like having things that you have to do is what we need more of. That's what we need more of. You want to have more freedom? We definitely should have more freedom. But we should also have more people that are taking care of their life. They have their shit together.
Right.
So what we should be doing instead of trying to take away freedom, try giving people the tools that they need to be more accountable and to do better in their life and to get their fucking shit together. Like, that should be the number one emphasis, not taking away your rights because some people can't handle it.
Right.
There's just...
Well, and that equals everything, right? So then it's like, we'll say the highly motivated people that are that will live their life with virtue and courage and pursue all of what I would say is Western philosophic like principles. I think we collectively can be trusted with that responsibility. But then you have that other piece that's saying, I don't want to have anything to do with that. I'd rather have a safe, secure existence without any accountability or responsibility.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. That's why and this isn't like, it's not meant to be like over complimentary, but I think that's so, this show and other people like you and Jocko and Cam and Jordan, whomever else that's out there in the ecosystem, you guys are putting really good information out into the world, saying like, I was to reference your podcast with Lex that you did maybe like a year ago. He was asking you straight up advice. Like, how do you make yourself better? How do you be a better person? You're answering, saying, hey, this is what worked for me. Well, you're obviously successful. You should be propagating that out into the country, into the world, having men and women, everybody else saying, fuck yeah, I'm going to take more accountability. I'm going to be more responsible for my life. I'm going to live radically free because that's fucking cool.
That is what people who live in cities don't like. Because if you're living in a city and you're in an apartment building and you're an urbanist, you think of yourself an urban. So you have a scarf and you're going to get your latte and maybe you're getting an Uber or you're hopping in the subway. Like, what you like is infrastructure.
Yeah.
You like everything to be set up for you. Oh, we have dinner at the Italian restaurant at 7:30. Great. You go over there, you eat food that someone else prepared. You get a glass of wine that someone else grew the grapes. You're not doing shit other than consuming. And this is what you enjoy. We're going to go to the play. We're going to go to the opera. We're going to go see a film. Oppenheimer's out. We're going to go home. Oh, this person is at the fucking comedy club. Let's go see that. Yeah. Let's go, let's constantly consume. And those people say, no, you need to get in shape and you need to start eating well. Like, whoa. I'm not interested in this. At all. I want someone to wipe my ass. I have a seat on the toilet that sprays water up my ass, so I barely have to wipe anymore. It just hoses my ass down. I press buttons. I go to sleep. I take an Ambien. I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning. I go to Starbucks.
Yeah, it's almost a prescription for what I would say is, if you want to live within the safety and in the sanctuary of an urban environment where you've got everything mapped out to you. So you've been indoctrinated under a system of like bells and whistles that
nice.
Conformity means everything in academia, which is don't stick out, like be on time, be best in class, make sure that you're hitting all your bells and whistles. When you move directly into that urban area where you're also working from 9 to 5 or whomever, or whatever, it's like 60, 70 hours a week, but everything is laid out. It's very lockstep conformity all the way through. Dude, I have zero interest in doing that. Like that sounds like a prison to me, to be honest with you. That sounds like a fucking prison.
Well, that's what's fascinating is that these people that we're talking about that live in these urban environments that have jobs like that and are not interested in physical health and are going to restaurants and doing all the things, those people are the most fucked up.
Yeah.
They have the most health problems. They have the most mental health problems. I'm just guessing. But I know a lot of people that live in urban cities that are on SSRIs.
Right.
I know a lot of them. I would like there's that 15% of the people that have 85 or below IQ. Yeah. What percentage of the people that live in cities that live like that are on antidepressants or some sort of psychoactive medication?
I read that too. I think it's about the same. I think it's almost equal. There's another like 10% of people out there. So when you think about the numbers, depending on how much overlap there is, there's 50 million people between, below 85 and then that are what you would say is clinically depressed and or on some type of psychological drug, right? So
that's like 15% as well?
Yeah. I think it's almost equal.
Yeah, I wonder how much of those are confined to urban areas.
It's got to be higher.
I think it's almost a math thing. It's called standard deviation. There's like always going to be a certain number that are 15%
overlap
this way, 15% that way.
You know what's interesting with depression is that no one takes into account how well you're doing.
Right.
Like, don't you feel better when you're doing well? Like when you have a good relationship, you got a good group of friends. Why don't we think of that as medicine?
I think about it, like I've had a lot of time over the last, I would say, couple of years to try to like turn the bolts on this to figure out what it is that's like makes me happy or creates more endurance or energy or whatever it might be. And there's this eudaimonia. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
This principle? It's like this old Greek term that they would use to define happiness and fulfillment through hard work and accomplishing your goals and objectives. So it's essentially being happy in establishing very difficult criteria for yourself and then adhering to it. And it's older than the Stoics. And I realized I was like, oh, that's kind of what makes me tick. Like, I love just grinding myself into moon dust. Like we were talking earlier, I was like, I'm running this whole machine in the red all the time, right? It's like